This episode is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard of Anchor by Spotify, let me fill you in. So, Anchor has everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. You can record and edit your podcast straight from your computer or your phone, whichever works for you. And it's as simple as downloading the Anchor app or going to anchor.fm. And when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. And the best part about Anchor is that it's 100% free. It's pretty much the ultimate podcast tool at the moment, and honestly, I haven't seen it getting enough attention. We use Anchor for this very podcast, and it has made things 10 times easier because, like I said, it's literally everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Again, go to anchor.fm or download the Anchor app to get started.
Hey guys, you're listening to Lucid. Today, we're going to be talking about basically imagining something or willing something into existence. And it's basically a paranormal phenomenon where you think about something so intently that it happens. And it's essentially called a Tulpa.
Yeah, so if you're not really familiar, there's a lot of videos on YouTube of just people saying like how to create a Tulpa, and what if your Tulpa does this, and what if your Tulpa does that. And yeah, like it's basically you creating another personality, but it's not a personality, it's a different person, if that makes sense. Like supposed to be a different person that you can like converse with and actually talk to. So
I don't remember. Does it have to be a person, or you could basically make it anything?
I don't remember if there's any visual type of thing along with it. Actually, I feel like there's not, but I don't know.
From what I remember, it's stuff that actually interacts in the physical world too, though, right?
I mean, I basically read that it was just something to converse with, like it's like a friend that's like in your head.
I mean, it's been a while since we've talked about this, so I'm kind of shaky on the definition. But I thought it was basically like, yeah, willing an imaginary friend that can actually kind of like interact with your environment and shit like that. Which, if that were the case, then yeah, it's a really scary idea. And it doesn't surprise me, because you look at shit like stigmata, where people literally concentrate blood in the palm of their hands and like the palm of their feet, and they just keep concentrating blood there and keep thinking about it, and eventually blood pools there, and it's like a real phenomenon, and a lot of like it's well known to have happened.
Yeah, it's like it's a pretty creepy phenomenon, but it's not really supposed to be creepy. I don't really know who this is like for, like the type of person these like videos and stuff and Tulpas are for, but like I guess someone who's lonely, like I don't even know, but then again, that kind of makes you seem crazy. So, but yeah, it's like basically an imaginary friend.
Yeah, so how would this be any different from someone with like multiple personality disorder, or something along those lines?
Or like schizophrenia or something?
Yeah, or something where you have different personalities.
Well,
you have different things that go on in your head that aren't there. And
well, you can shape this however you want. They can be male, female. You can think about how what you want their voice to sound like, how they talk, and everything. You basically a fully customizable imaginary friend. So like if you, I don't know, I can't even think of like the conversations you would have with something like that. Like I just don't know what you'd even say. Just ask it questions, talk, just like I don't know. There's a lot of videos on YouTube about Tulpas, like a lot. And there was a video that was saying like these are the good things about having a Tulpa, and I honestly don't remember all the things he said, but I think he said like it's good for like people who have trouble socializing, like bad social skills, or like don't pick up on social cues and stuff like that. But I don't know, it's a kind of an odd thing to turn to.
Yeah, that would kind of be dangerous, because I mean, honestly, it just sounds like schizophrenia to me, where you're you know, going to a force that is internal to basically deal with the external world. I mean, that's like, I'm sure that's not a healthy coping mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. It doesn't sound like something that is good for you. But it's just an insane idea, because it's like just creating a personality from scratch like that. Even if you're a perfectly healthy person with no, like, no schizophrenia or anything like that, like, just creating a whole nother personality, like, that's wild. I mean, I think that says a lot about, like, the human brain and, like, what it can do, because that's crazy. I think, and I feel like eventually, like, something people don't talk about is what if you don't want the Tulpa anymore? Like, what if you want them to go away? Then what? Because I
A
don't
lot
think
of therapy.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, honestly, yeah. It
Because
kind of just sounds like a. I don't wanna be like, oh, that just means you're mentally ill or something. Like, I don't wanna be like that, but that's kind of what it seems like.
I guess it depends on what context it manifests itself in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like
like,
if it's something that's kind of supernatural and it's, like an ability that we all have that is kind of just like that, just kind of like something intrinsic to human beings and kind of, our idea of like, I don't know. I'm sure you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah. I mean,
And
I haven't
yeah,
seen. I'm sure there's people asking, like, is having a tulpa just creating a disorder for yourself? And that's actually something I'm kind of curious about, because what if that's
yeah. I
actually all
mean,
it is?
if it's like a supernatural type of thing, then it does make sense because it's like, okay, that's kind of crazy, and the fact that you can make something with your mind that can physically interact with the world, that'd be kind of magical. But if it's not supernatural, then yeah, it's really just a coping mechanism that you use to basically ignore reality, and that's definitely not a good thing.
Yeah. Also, I was completely wrong, because apparently you can see your tulpa if you get to that point, but apparently it's really difficult to get to that point where they have not a physical form, but to you they have a physical form.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like
And I'm saying that because I looked it up. I was curious, like, can you see them at all? Like, I'm curious about that, and apparently, yeah. So
yeah, that's kind of crazy to think about.
it's wild. Like, it's kind of like, I'm sure it's different, but it's kind of like developing schizophrenia on purpose, almost.
Yeah, I mean that can't be like a healthy way to look at the world.
And apparently, like, if you see them, they just take whatever form. Like, even though you create every other part of them yourself, if you see them, they're just, apparently it's whatever form, I guess, that whatever form they take is just random, is what I'm hearing. So, if you have some, like, I can't even imagine what that would look like to someone, but if it's anything but a human being, then that's kind of terrifying.
Well, my question would be, how many people have negative experiences with this versus positive? Because I feel like if it's a negative experience, I mean that's just terrifying.
Yeah, that is terrifying. I mean, I saw someone saying on, like, Reddit, that was saying tulpas can. I guess it is something supernatural about it, now that I'm thinking about it, because saying your tulpa can leave to go to other people and then, like, come back to you, and then inherit good and bad, I guess, but bad qualities from other people, and then bring them come back to you, and, like, just, yeah, and then at that point they're not yours, they're not your tulpa anymore, they're just some being that is with you that you can't get rid of now. They can't hurt you, I don't think, though. So like, but I mean, that doesn't mean it's
Well,
a good thing.
if it drains you mentally and hurts you mentally, then it's
That's
kind
true.
of just as dangerous as physically, if not more dangerous.
Yeah, that is true.
Physical wounds heal very easily, but emotional ones usually last and are usually like the hardest to fix.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, and also people have said that Tulpa would like develop bad intentions just because I guess it comes from you, and if you're not in the best state of mind to begin with, not if that just so happened to be the case, then you may have a worse time connecting with it because I guess because they're inheriting your bad
you would
qualities.
think it would take a lot of effort to basically will something into existence like that.
Yeah, it does take a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time too, but it varies. Like some people it's a couple months or a few months, and some people it's like a year or something like that. And the thing is, you can like say you're just experimenting and you just want to try this for some reason. You can start doing it, like constantly thinking like, yeah, there's someone there, and talking and thinking about the response to what you just asked and stuff like that. That's how you like create one. And if you do end up hearing a voice,
fucking terrifying.
that is terrifying. And if you do end up hearing a voice, that apparently that's when that doesn't mean it's the end. It's not fully developed yet. But if you do hear a voice, then it's there. Like you've officially made the being, I'll just call it. And if say that scares you and you're like, all right, I thought this would be cool or interesting and I don't like this, you stop. And then the thing, if you neglect it, because you made this thing, you brought it into the world basically, and you neglect it, all of a sudden it's gonna supposedly have like ire toward you. And how that goes, I don't know like what the consequences of that would be, but apparently that's like a thing that happens. And if you neglect it when it is fully developed, then it's probably even worse.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds horrifying. It really does sound like you're basically giving yourself a mental disorder on purpose.
Yeah, it kind of does sound exactly that. I mean, there's a lot of posts saying like, is this a tulpa or is there something wrong with me? I've seen posts like that. So, but obviously if you had no prior issues, you can safely say it's a tulpa, but you could say those are the same thing. So, as like having some sort of mental issue.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a terrifying idea. Even to be willing to try that, the chances that it goes wrong might not be high, but the fact that there are chances that it goes wrong is just like would be enough where I'd be like, okay, why?
Yeah, the fact, because
I don't like this at all.
It would probably take, like you said, it would probably take a lot of like therapy or something to get rid of it if you wanted to get rid of it once you already developed it. And that's like honestly fucked. Like, and people on Reddit are saying like tulpas help with depression, anxiety, insecurities, distress, and stress from work/school. So apparently it's just a friend, but it's kind of like, I can only think of a scenario where you would do this if you had absolutely no one to talk to, and even then, I don't know if that's what you should turn to.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there are way better ways of coping.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell a therapist like, yeah, I created a tulpa, they're gonna be like, a tulpa? You mean do you have schizophrenia? I mean, not even just therapists. If you tell anyone that, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. I mean, I guess you don't have to tell anyone, but if you did, they would.
Well, if
probably...
you're looking for help, then you'd have to tell someone, and yeah, they'd probably be
Yeah.
like, it'd probably be really hard to get them to understand you.
Yeah, it would be, and you run the risk of them just thinking you're like crazy, I think.
Which yeah, isn't ideal either. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's ever been like, at least I've never heard of like the Tulpa like interacting with things in the physical actual world. I don't know if that's really a thing, like but if it is, that's like even worse. I mean, to some people that's probably better, but to the people that want that, but that's, if you don't want that at some point, then that's horrible because you basically just have a ghost. Like, if I'm gonna look that
or
up.
a voice in your head, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And if you already have low self-esteem or something, or personal problems, I'm sure there's no way that helps, because if you're already hard on yourself or something, and you constantly have something in your head belittling you, I mean, that could put someone over the edge.
Oh yeah, for sure. And apparently, like, what I was just looking at, I just looked it up. They can't interact with the physical world, but this is gonna sound horrifying. If they get your consent, they can take over your body, like, as a host to do stuff. I don't know how, like.
Yeah, that basically sounds like Venom.
Yeah, it actually does. And I don't know. That's a weird thing, because does that mean you yourself would temporarily be that person? Like, or does that mean you're still you, but they can control your movements?
Well, that basically sounds like the movie Split, honestly.
What movie?
Split, where the guy has all the
Oh.
split personalities
Oh,
that take
yeah.
over his body. I mean, that's
Oh,
essentially
yeah.
the same fucking thing.
That is true, yeah. Because he
So,
he had
did he just
personalities
have a
that were
bunch of
stronger. What'd you say?
So, did he basically just have a shit ton of tulpas? Like, could we make that argument?
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's one way to look at that. He just had
How do we
multiple
make
tulpas.
the distinction between multiple personality disorder and this? Would be my question too.
Yeah, I didn't even think about how, like, what if you can make more tulpas? What if you just keep doing it? How does that work? Does it even work like that? Like, that's crazy to think about.
I mean, why wouldn't it work like that? If it's just you concentrating on something.
Yeah. If you can do it once, you can probably do it again. I mean.
Yeah, and if you get better at doing it, then it should be easier over time to make them then, theoretically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I guess it would be, I would assume. Yeah, like, if something's, like, controlling your, hopefully not your thoughts, that would be horrible, but controlling your body temporarily, that's, like, what's even the point?
Here,
like, why even do that?
I mean, that's clearly just like a mental disorder, and you just create a different personality for yourself. There's no other way to, like, look at that.
Yeah, there's just kind of not.
Honestly. That's
It's just
like developing a personality disorder. How to develop a personality disorder.
yeah. that's the friendly name for it. Tulpa. I don't know. I struggle to, like, think about it in a like that, in a positive light. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you break it down to what it is, I mean, it's kind of terrifying. Like, you're getting yourself a mental illness for free, like, or willingly giving yourself a mental illness. I mean, you're willingly giving yourself psychosis, essentially, right?
yeah, I mean, pretty much.
I mean, that's kind of fucking terrifying.
That's an insane concept, because, like, our brains are apparently so powerful that we can just, if we try hard enough, we can literally give ourselves, like, an affliction. Like,
well, that's not that hard to believe, because, like, your brain basically functions the rest of your body. So if you're sad enough and you decide to jump off of a building, I mean, your brain is basically allowing you to, like, your brain is allowing itself to self-destruct, essentially.
yeah, right.
And I mean, for something that strong and just kind of like ridiculous. I mean, this is not that much different.
Yeah, I guess
You're
not.
basically willingly putting yourself to like a type of torment, and that's just like fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's like, why? But when you got all these dudes on YouTube telling you it's so good and so helpful and so positive, then people probably are gonna try it and then end up regretting it. Because these people, like, there's so many videos people talking about this in such a positive light. If you look up on the internet, like, there's not much negativity surrounding this topic, honestly.
I mean, there's not much negativity discussing most mental illnesses that we like don't just go outright and call mental illnesses, even though everyone knows what they are.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's plenty of them that we just act like we try and normalize them, and it's like this shit's not normal, but it's just a mainstream thing. Or even if it's not mainstream, it's basically just people parading around with their mental illnesses and trying to rectify the fact that they have them and act like it's okay, when really what they need is help. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like deluding yourself into thinking like I'm fine and this is a good thing, when it's the complete opposite. And I really hope there's no like super Tulpa supporters that are gonna get angry at this video, because I know a lot of people...
let's look at movies. Just look at what we talked about in the last episode with people not being able to distinguish reality.
Yeah, I mean...
So what if someone does something horrible and then blames it on a Tulpa? Like,
yeah, that's true.
You know
I
what
can
I mean?
see
It says,
I can see something like that
I
happening.
didn't have control of my actions, and
Yeah,
then you would say,
exactly.
I mean, bullshit. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, that's just such a fucking weird position to get put in.
Yeah, they're gonna throw you into some sort of mental institution or something, if that's the case.
Yeah, but hopefully it's not after the damage is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you should
you're
catch
probably
this
not
stuff
gonna
early.
catch it quick enough because this person thinks they have a Tulpa instead of a fucking mental disease.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, it's not like they're gonna...
And a mental
They have
ailment.
Yeah, and they have no reason to tell anyone when you think about it. Why would they? So honestly, that's basically, if something were bad to come out of that, then there's basically nothing anyone could do unless they ask them about it beforehand and just so happen to. Like, you really can't catch something like that.
What's the likelihood of you asking someone that? Pretty much zero, right?
Yeah, I mean, why would you ask someone about that?
Yeah, well, you would have to know what it is, and then, like, that's just, like, not a normal conversation piece.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably ask 99 out of 100 people would probably say they don't know what a Tulpa is. So, and then if you explain it, they're gonna be like, "You're out of your mind." If it's someone...
Well, if you explain it for
know
what it is and say, "Have you ever heard of multiple personality disorder?" Most 99 out of 100 people would know what that is.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
like, if you called it what it was, I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, I'm more inclined to say that that's what it is.
Yeah.
You're basically just giving yourself a form of psychosis.
Yeah. I mean, and it's actually been proven that people with multiple identity disorder, or whatever it's actually called, there's actually physical changes that can happen with the changes of your personalities, which is insane.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It's there's a bunch of things that have done it well. Like, if you even look at a really good Marvel series, Moon Knight. I don't know if you ever heard of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
But he is a gentleman with personality disorder, like the main character is. And as it goes in, I mean, there's been a lot of different versions of the characters, but basically, like, trauma is what a lot of times causes people to, like, think like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they basically just use it as a coping mechanism, and the shit basically becomes real because it has to be real, or they won't be able to, like, manage their life.
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, like, cause the fact, honestly, that movie Split is like, yeah, that's extremely exaggerated, but that's honestly pretty real because like people have been recorded to be like stronger and stuff in their other personality. Like that's not their primary one, which is wild. Like how is that real? How does that even make
Well,
sense?
that just goes to show you that they're like, and I think it shows like, say someone's trapped in a car and they're trying to save their child. You know, women that weigh like 120 pounds are able to bend steel in situations like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a
It's like adrenaline, and that, like, something like that, you're so delusional. Like, I don't want
yeah.
to say delusional isn't like in a negative sense necessarily, but you aren't able to grasp reality. So you basically, well, what's the right way to put this? You basically are willing yourself to do something, so you're like tricking your brain into giving you adrenaline or dopamine, or
Yeah.
hit different receptors when they normally wouldn't. So maybe you have more adrenaline, so you're more willing to just do something rather than when you don't have as much adrenaline and you kind of just like,
Yeah. Well,
uh,
that's in like situations where you would need adrenaline. But like there's situations where someone's not in any danger and they'll have some physical changes in uh other personality, which is like maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't want to go off the deep end, but maybe there is something supernatural about this whole thing. I don't know. Cuz how does that logically make any sense? The adrenaline thing makes perfect sense. But how do you explain that? Like that's just insanity to me.
yeah. I mean, it's terrifying to think about.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel for people who like deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how you classify it. If it's like something that is supernatural and you're basically making like an entity out of thin air, and it's real and not just a construct of your mind. But I don't know, like that's kind of, I feel like all this shit just contradicts itself, because if you can feel it and it basically takes on a form to you, like, isn't that kind of what multiple personality disorder is anyway? Like just something that
Well, I don't
kind
think
of
there's
takes a hold of
any
you. And
visual aspect to it, to multiple personality disorder. So
well,
I think
I mean,
that yeah, I don't know.
there is the schizophrenia. So if you're schizophrenic
Yeah.
and you have multiple personality disorder, you would potentially see shit and hear shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to like pinpoint. Like obviously I'm going to lean towards like mental illness, but there's like 1% of me that's like what if this is some sort of supernatural thing that we can just do? Like you were explaining the thing with the blood in the palm of your hand. Like stuff like that makes me think we have like some latent power or something, like untapped power or some shit.
Well, I mean, it depends on what way you want to look at shit, but there's a reason that fairy tales exist, and so many things about magic, and like just so much media where people have powers and be able to do shit. I mean, I don't think it would be ridiculous for someone to be like, at one point, before technology, before religion, before all of these things basically muddied our minds, we were able to basically will shit into existence and like do shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, kind of like,
I don't think that'd
yeah.
be like ridiculous to say.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. It makes sense. Well, guys, this was Lucid Rain. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.